What's up, guys and gals of the movement world? It's Sean Mishka, the Movement Miyagi, coming once again on behalf of Football Beyond the Stats and another movement skills short story this week for week 10 of the 2025 NFL season. And today we're going to investigate yet again, for I think the third time here in this 2025 season, my 2021 mover of the year, Jonathan Taylor, who has shown an evolved adaptability within his skill set that is reminiscent of 21 but has even raised the stakes a bit as to what he's able to do and accomplish. I think we're finding that Jonathan Taylor, the exemplar of problem solving right now in today's NFL at the running back position, gives us a lot to investigate, but it also gives us a lot to talk about when we're talking about practical application in our own learning and training environments. Whether you work with NFL players as I do, whether you work with high school players or college players, or even those at the lower developmental levels, we're going to be able to lean in on something that we find within this respective walk-off winner in Berlin, Germany, against Atlanta on Sunday, 25-25, walk-off winner in overtime here. Let's look at 28, Jonathan Taylor do his work. And when we watch him do his work on the very surface, it's not going to look like a lot, right? It's going to look like a well-blocked play and he just had a two-way go. But it's always deeper than that. Don't miss the forest through the trees. Of course, there's going to be a lot for us to speak on here. Let's watch it one more time through if we could. At 100% speed before we go slow motion and then lean in on two respective activities that I think more should do in indie periods at the higher levels, more should do at the lower developmental levels really frequently for their respective performers. Okay. Anybody who's going to have a ball in their hand, an activity here, a 2v2, that I think we can have a lot of repetition without repetition, where the players themselves on both sides, offensive and defensive, blocker and wannabe tacklers, as well as the ball carrier themselves, can get a lot of goes, a lot of exposure, be immersed within the problem solving and adjusting of nuances, what they're perceiving, how they're intending to act, and ultimately the adaptability of the actions themselves. So let's look at it slow motion, and then we're going to look at it with another vantage or viewpoint. And then I really want us to think about what it is that we can do for our performance. And I'll bring up a few graphics from my trusty little handbook here, written by myself, of course. Enhancing Skill in American Football, myself, Tyler Yearby, Rob Gray. So I paused it here because this begins to set the tone on the activity that I design and design quite frequently for my guys in my learning environment. When I say my, I don't mean my, I mean the guys that I partner with. We do this a lot as my guys. Those players will tell you, we do this really frequently. Some sort of traffic activity like this, as I've talked about in the past, but lower complexity, 2v2, maybe 2v3, maybe 3v3 in this type of workspace that I just outlined. Hashes to numbers, really frequent workspace that we operate within, hash to numbers, and then 10 yards deep. This tunnel, this workspace is one we utilize a lot. Now in that, we will usually have a 2v2. Obviously, ball carrier entering the space, maybe from an angle, maybe head up, as I will outline later, maybe from the other side, right? We change this up, repetition without repetition. No two problems the same, so no two movement solutions will be the same either. Again, running back coaches out there at the professional level, the college level, the high school level, you should be doing this once a week at bare minimum, maybe even frequent. It could be an everyday drill. This has a lot more worth, a ton more value than cutting out of bags doing solemn drills. Where's the other guys coming from? We got a blocker entering the space somehow, okay? He might be entering from the outside in. He might already be in the space looking to move here. He might be coming from the opposite end of the space from where this ball carrier would be. There's our two on offense. Then we got a defender entering the space who's going to likely try to take on that blocker or then try to get beyond him to bring the ball carrier down. In our learning environment, typically a tag off, maybe a thud tempo, or we might have then, or not or, we usually would have a guy entering the space here, usually being fully transparent here. He's coming either from the outside in from further or coming straight down the tunnel in some way. Okay. Hopefully that makes some sense. There's our 2v2 that you're going to see taken from the graphic in enhancing skill in American football, or from enhancing skill in American football. Let's advance us one more time, right? So when on page, let's see, if you do have the book, page 149, fit work in relation to a teammate, that's what we're looking at here. We also would be looking, if I can find the page here, attunement to a blocker, where we could do a 2v1. Okay, we could do a 2v1. I'll show you both of those in a bit. But in that, ton of constraint manipulation you can have here, a ton. Where the players are entering from, how big that workspace size is, who each party is. It's all going to change the informational variables that are there to pick up gaps that are dynamically emerging and decaying, affordances, opportunities to act. The behaviors of another, if you change styles of player, if you change size of player, if you change the position of the player, it's going to change how they're behaving. Attunement to the blocker, first and foremost, for Jonathan Taylor. You saw it right there. Okay, I'm not going to be able to get back that tightly, maybe, but hopefully I'm going to try. Watch him here. Boom. It's in relation to the teammate. He pulls and draws Jesse Bates, number 3, in to that engagement. So it opens up the space right to Jonathan Taylor's left side, right down that hash. I see this all the time, guys and gals, that this is something that you can get players really attuned to if you have them operate in this space really frequently. Okay, we're going to show it from another vantage point here in a bit, but I want you to watch this. Behavior affords behavior, problem and solution dynamics, constantly changing states of organization. Okay, Jonathan Taylor, do your dance as you've done so many times here in this NFL season. Scoring at a record clip. Jonathan Taylor, one of my very favorite movers in all of today's NFL, my 2021 mover of the year. Let's see it from this other vantage point before I take us off screen and look at it. We see it here again, this view, this vantage point. Watch the interactions, guys and gals, and let's again, once again, look at how that workspace size might be playing out. There's our 2v2, right? Hopefully it makes some sense. I'm just going to kind of stamp us, okay? We got, well, let's put the defenders in as stars. Of course, let's put our offensive players, because all my guys will tell you I love offense and I love running backs and I love watching them move. There's our stars versus our hearts, right? Our offensive guys versus our defensive guys. There's our 2v2. Think about how many different ways this could unfold, okay? Again, let's draw it out. There's our workspace size, right? Now it's a lot wider than that which what I initially glanced at, right? Think about the repetition without repetition here, guys and gals, that will unfold. That process of solving that problem by changing the nuances, adjusting and adapting the nuances of our solution process. Think about how many different ways this could play out. Jonathan Taylor could go here, right? Which that might lead to this and this and this unfolding, right? Jonathan Taylor could do that, which what he did, which was press this, get up tight to the hips and butt of his blocker, only to then try to come down the workspace here. It can unfold in any number of ways, and that's exactly what we wanted to do. No two movement problems ever being the same. Watch it play out then. There you see it again, that hard stab that we couldn't see exactly before. To bring and pull Jesse Bates into that blocking engagement interaction, only to open up the space there to the left for Jonathan Taylor. So let me pull up something else here for you, okay? I mentioned it, right? Page 148, 149 of Enhancing Skill in American Football. There it is. Fit work in relation to a teammate. It's about getting attuned and adaptable to the layers of both local movement problems that could be unfolding. The blocker and the immediate defender. The deeper defender, who this player right here, this ball carrier, is responsible for making miss. pulling them into interactions as we saw with Jonathan Taylor and Jesse Bates. Highly nuanced, highly skillful stuff. Don't miss a forest through the trees. Again, let's think of how the many different ways we could let this play out. And I don't want to belabor this, but you know I will. He could be entering as he did here in relation to, oops, where this guy is going. He could be entering head up. He could be entering from any number of places in between that. We put no restriction on that. The only thing we do is you have to be outside of the workspace, 10 yards and behind it. Enter it in any way you want. You could have them enter ball already in hand, ball taking or in already in hand, taking a handoff, or catching a ball, turning and moving into the workspace. Do it in all those respective ways. You can have this guy, again, entering from outside of the space or just inside of it. You could have him head up. You could put restrictions or constraints on how he could do it, or you could let them have full agency and autonomy, just as we would with the running back themselves. We could put them on opposite sides, have him enter here. And again, flip that around. Give them a lot of different engaging, sparring looks. Okay, there it is. Okay, fit work in relation to a teammate. Let's pull up our other one where we can do this at a more simplistic level, attunement to the blocker first and foremost. Okay, here's our offensive player, same type of workspace, except now we have it narrowed simply because it's a 2v1. The offensive player has an advantage. We can quickly turn this into a 2v2 if we want. You can see the endless ways that you can rep this type of engagement out in various slices of the game. We have it here between the hashes, but we can easily put this same type of engagement, just as we just saw, the same type of slice, just as we just saw right here, right? Between the hashes and the numbers, there's our workspace that we just operated in, right? Pick up 10 yards, that's our line to gain, that's our goal space. And the same type of thing, just take what's happening here and move it out between the hashes and the numbers. Have it longer, okay? You could extend that to be 15, maybe 20 yards. Add some bodies. You guys kind of see the endless ways that we can do this and that we should do it to bring as much problem variability in as many different looks as we possibly can. So Jonathan Taylor, very impressive. I said and tweeted on, posted on X on Sunday after this walk-off winner that Jonathan Taylor at this moment in time seems to be the clear favorite for my 2025 mover of the year, to be the third one to ever win it 2 times, joining Antonio Brown and Lamar Jackson. We'll see what he can do down this last 7-game stretch across the course of the season to see these layers of his problem solving continue to unfold. I hope it gives us a lot more to talk about, but I hope this one gave you a little bit of food for thought, no matter what level of player you work with. So for Sean Mishka, Football Beyond the Stats, this has been another Movement Skill short story. I'll talk to you all next time.